Some afternoons, I'd just sit there staring at the mess and honestly not even know where to start. Not because I was lazy, I was just already mentally full, and trying to tackle the house on top of everything else felt like too much. For a long time, I thought I just needed to clean more, but really I needed to clean differently. This video is about the small, steady habits that actually helped me keep my home tidy without burning out. These aren't tips I read somewhere, they're the habits I learned through trial and error after years of feeling like I was always falling behind. They work especially well if you're busy, easily overwhelmed, or just want your home to feel like a place to breathe again. And the first one made such a difference, I wish I had known it 5 years ago. Let's get into it. Let's start with the simple rhythm that changed how I clean. Tiny cues, joyful triggers, and celebrating progress over perfection. I used to see cleaning as a chore, something I had to push myself through just to keep the house in order. But over time, I discovered that building the right habits completely changed the way I look at it. Instead of waiting for motivation, I created a simple habit loop that made cleaning feel more natural, even enjoyable. For me, the first step was to make cleaning cues impossible to ignore. I started by placing a small basket near the living room sofa for items I no longer needed. When I walked past it, it reminded me to declutter little by little. I also kept my favorite cleaning spray right on the counter instead of tucked away. These little visual cues worked like gentle nudges, reminding me to take action without even thinking too hard about it. I'll be honest, sometimes I just don't feel like picking up a broom or folding laundry. What made a difference was finding ways to make the process feel rewarding. I began playing upbeat music while wiping down the kitchen or listening to podcasts that inspired me. Sometimes I'd even follow cleaning content creators online, seeing their passion sparked mine. Turning cleaning into a sensory experience made it less about work and more about me time. Another important change was lowering my expectations. I used to think I had to do everything in one go, deep clean the bathroom, scrub the kitchen, vacuum all the floors. That mindset only made me procrastinate. Instead, I allowed myself to start small, just 15 or 20 minutes a day. Folding a pile of clothes, wiping down a counter, or vacuuming one room. The easier I made it, the more consistent I became. And consistency, more than perfection, is what kept my home in order. Finally, I learned to celebrate progress. One of my favorite tricks is taking before and after photos. Looking at the contrast always gives me a rush of satisfaction. It's proof of what I accomplished. Even without photos, I pause to enjoy the freshness of a clean room, the calm that comes from everything being in its place. That small feeling of achievement motivates me to keep going. In the end, cleaning doesn't feel like a burden anymore. With these little habit loops, I've created a rhythm that makes my home brighter and my mind lighter. Tomorrow, I'll be sharing 20 simple 1-minute habits that can make a big difference in reducing visual clutter at home. These tiny steps are easy, practical, and surprisingly effective, so be sure not to miss it. Next is the tiniest shift with the biggest impact. I've discovered that one of the most powerful principles for keeping a home clean and welcoming is what I like to call the 1% improvement rule. Instead of expecting myself to tackle everything in one exhausting session, I focus on making my space just a little bit better each day. It doesn't sound like much, just 1% at a time, but those small, consistent actions add up in a way that's truly transformative. For example, after finishing a cup of tea, I take the extra few seconds to bring the cup into the kitchen instead of leaving it on the table. Or when I notice toys scattered around the living room, I gather just a few and put them back where they belong. These are such tiny actions that they don't feel overwhelming, but together they prevent mess from piling up and turning into a daunting chore later. The magic lies in the accumulation. If you keep making things 1% better every single day by the end of the year, your space will feel over 37 times better than before. I've experienced this myself. It's like a ripple effect where a tidier corner encourages me to tidy the next one, and soon the whole room feels lighter. This approach also takes away the pressure of perfection. You don't need to clean your entire house in one day. You just need to improve it slightly, step by step. And before long, those little habits create a home that feels peaceful, organized, and so much easier to maintain. Speaking of keeping things simple, here's another habit I swear by. Then comes a mindset reset. I once came across a fascinating example from James Clear that really stuck with me. He explained how if a pilot leaves Los Angeles heading toward New York but veers off course by just 3.5 degrees, the plane won't land anywhere near New York. That tiny shift at the beginning leads to a completely different destination over time. I think about this often when it comes to keeping a home clean. It's not usually the one big mess that overwhelms us, it's the little things that pile up day after day. Leaving a dish in the sink just for tonight, tossing clothes on a chair instead of putting them away, or keeping items we don't actually need. None of these choices feel like a big deal in the moment, but together they slowly change the direction of our home, leading it toward clutter and chaos. That's why I've learned that small daily habits really do matter. Just as a pilot can adjust the plane's course early on, we can also adjust our routines to keep our homes on track. For me, that looks like putting things back right after I use them, wiping down the counter before bed, or spending 5 minutes picking up toys with my kids. These little corrections might seem too small to count, but they shift the trajectory of our space in the right direction. The beauty is that once these habits become second nature, the home practically takes care of itself. Instead of dreading hours of cleaning, I simply maintain as I go. It's such a relief to know that by making small intentional adjustments, I'm keeping my home and my mind on a much calmer and happier path. If that one feels doable, this next tip will be just as easy and just as effective. After that, I stopped cleaning the whole house and started focusing on just one hot spot a day. One trick that has completely changed the way I manage my home is something I like to call the hotspot patrol. We all have those areas that somehow attract clutter, no matter how often we tidy them. The corner of the sofa where books and jackets pile up, that one kitchen drawer full of random things, or the desk where papers multiply overnight. For me, it used to feel overwhelming to think about cleaning the whole house, but once I started focusing on these little hotspots, everything became more manageable. What I do is set aside just 5 minutes each day to deal with one of these trouble zones. Sometimes I even use the timer on my phone. It keeps me focused and makes the task feel light. The beauty of this habit is that it doesn't require a big block of time or a huge burst of energy. I simply go straight to the messiest spot and give it my attention. By tackling the areas with the highest risk of chaos, I've noticed that the entire room looks calmer and more organized without me having to spend hours cleaning. The best part is the sense of peace it brings. When I walk past the living room and see that the sofa is clear, I instantly feel lighter. It's a reminder that little actions repeated daily can make a big difference. If you often feel like clutter is taking over, I'd encourage you to try your own hotspot patrol. Just 5 minutes today could save you from hours of stress tomorrow. Let's shift to another spot in the house where clutter tends to sneak in. Tip 5 is about stacking habits, pairing small actions with things I already do, so tidying just flows. One of the most helpful things I've learned about keeping my home tidy is something called habit stacking. Instead of trying to create a brand new routine from scratch, I've started attaching small cleaning habits to things I already do every day. For example, when I come home and set my bag down, I make it a point to immediately put away whatever I brought in with me, whether it's groceries, mail, or my jacket. Another simple one I've added is washing the dishes while I'm making coffee in the morning. Since I'm already in the kitchen, it doesn't feel like extra work. These little pairings have made such a difference because the habit becomes automatic, almost like second nature. Another principle I love is the 2-minute rule. This one has saved me from so much unnecessary clutter. The idea is simple: if something takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it right away. That could be as small as carrying dishes from the living room to the kitchen, hanging up a coat, or replying to a quick message. I used to let these tiny tasks pile up, telling myself I'd get to them later, but later often never came. Now, by handling them instantly, I stop clutter before it even has a chance to form. What I've noticed is that these little habits don't feel heavy or overwhelming. They fit naturally into my day, and over time, they add up to a much tidier, calmer space. It's not about big cleaning marathons anymore. It's about weaving small actions into my life so that keeping a clean home feels effortless and even satisfying. Now, if you liked that tip, you'll love this one. Keep going with a trick that made motivation irrelevant. I just asked, what would a tidy person do? I've come to realize that keeping a clean and tidy home is not just about what I do, it's about who I believe I am. When I started to see myself as someone who is naturally organized, Every small action began to feel like proof of that identity. It wasn't about forcing myself to clean, but about aligning with the person I wanted to be. For example, when I make the effort to put things back in their place after using them, I remind myself, this is what a tidy person does. Even something as simple as folding a blanket or wiping down the table becomes a quiet confirmation of the identity I'm building. Over time, these small repeated actions add up, and they strengthen my belief that I am indeed a neat and organized person. I've noticed that this mindset shift makes everything easier. Instead of relying on motivation, I rely on consistency. I no longer ask myself, do I feel like cleaning? Instead, I think, what would a tidy person do in this moment? That simple question has guided me through countless situations and helped me keep my space peaceful and welcoming. If you've ever struggled to maintain tidiness, I encourage you to start by changing how you see yourself. Begin with the identity, then let your habits follow. It's not about being perfect, it's about repeating small actions that reinforce the story you want to live. All right, let's jump into the next simple habit that makes tidying less stressful. Then there's the shift from big goals to gentle systems, small routines that keep everything steady. For a long time, I used to set big, shiny goals for myself, like I want to have a perfectly decluttered and organized home. But the truth is, those big goals often felt so far away that they almost became overwhelming. What really changed everything for me was realizing that systems are far more powerful than goals. A goal gives you direction, but it's the daily systems, the little routines that actually get you there. When I started focusing on systems, I noticed how much lighter and more motivated I felt. Instead of obsessing over the end result, I built small daily and weekly habits that naturally moved me closer to the life I wanted. For example, I created a simple cleaning checklist for the week: laundry on Tuesdays, vacuuming on Thursdays, and a quick 15-minute declutter each evening. These systems became my safety net, keeping my home consistently manageable without the pressure of reaching some perfect state overnight. I also learned that systems work beautifully in other areas of life. For instance, when I wanted to simplify my mornings, I set up a habit of laying out clothes the night before. It was such a tiny action, but it saved me stress every single day. What I love most about this approach is that systems feel sustainable. They're gentle, they're doable, and they remove the guilt that comes with not instantly achieving a big goal. Over time, the systems I've created have completely transformed my home and my mindset. Now, instead of chasing perfection, I focus on showing up for these small routines, and that has made all the difference. Here's another quick win you can add to your routine without much effort. One of the most helpful principles I've learned is something called never miss twice. The idea is simple. It's okay if you miss a day, but try your best not to miss 2 days in a row. Life happens sometimes. I'm too tired to tidy the living room before bed or too busy to do a load of laundry. And that's fine, but I've realized that skipping once doesn't hurt nearly as much as letting it turn into a pattern. For example, if I let the dishes sit in the sink one night, I make sure I take care of them the next day. Otherwise, that small pile quickly turns into a mountain, and suddenly the task feels overwhelming. By catching myself before I miss twice, I stay in control and keep my home from slipping back into chaos. It's like giving myself grace for being human, but also holding myself accountable to the bigger picture of the kind of home I want to live in. I've even applied this principle outside of housework. For instance, with my YouTube videos, I try my best to post every Saturday. If something comes up and I can't upload 1 week, I make it a priority not to let 2 weeks pass by. That consistency helps me stay connected to my audience and keeps me motivated to keep creating. What I love about Never Miss Twice is how forgiving yet powerful it is. It removes the guilt of imperfection, while reminding me that habits are built through consistency. Over time, this mindset has made both my home and my routines feel lighter, calmer, and far more sustainable. Ready for something even easier. Let me show you. And finally, clean for the dopamine, those tiny wins that make your brain want to keep going. I've noticed something really interesting about the way my brain reacts to cleaning, and it actually makes the whole process feel so much easier. Every time I tidy up even a small corner, like clearing a shelf or finally organizing that messy drawer, I get this little rush of happiness. It's almost like my brain is rewarding me with a boost of energy, and suddenly I want to keep going. That's the dopamine effect at work. Just seeing the after compared to the before gives me motivation to tackle the next space, even if it's just something small. This ties closely to what I've learned about the immediate return rule. Our brains love quick rewards, not just distant future benefits. Of course, we all know that having a clean and organized home will make life easier in the long run, but that's not always enough to get us moving in the moment. What really keeps me going are those instant wins, the little feelings of satisfaction I get right away. For example, when I take just 2 minutes to put dishes into the dishwasher, the immediate reward is a clear countertop which instantly feels lighter and calmer. Or when I declutter my entryway, the reward is walking into a space that feels welcoming instead of chaotic. These small, quick victories help me stick with the habit because I can actually see and feel the results immediately. Over time, I've realized that leaning into these instant rewards makes cleaning feel less like a chore and more like a series of small, satisfying wins. And when you string enough of those wins together, your whole home begins to transform one little dopamine boost at a time. That's it. These are the 9 habits and mindsets I've been practicing every week to keep my home tidy, without the pressure or stress that usually comes with cleaning. What used to feel like a never-ending chore now feels lighter, more joyful, and even something I look forward to. If you've been wanting to save time, cut down on overwhelm, and create a calmer environment for yourself, I encourage you to start small. Try one habit test, one principle, and see how it feels in your own space. Over time, these little steps add up to a home that feels so much more peaceful and easy to maintain. And if you'd like to take it a step further, I've created a separate video all about quick 1-minute routines that instantly cut down on visual clutter. They're short, practical, and surprisingly powerful. You'll want to watch that one right after this. Finally, if this video gave you even one idea you'd like to try, I'd love it if you could share and subscribe. You deserve a space that feels calm, welcoming, and breathable every single day, and I'd be so happy to keep sharing simple ways to help you get there.